So hello there, my name's Daniel Metro and welcome to the review. And this is a review on the Hornby Oliver. And I've done a review on the Hornby Oliver before, however it was a joint one. So it was with duck, toad and old slow coat. So this Hornby Oliver probably didn't get as much attention as I probably should have given it. Don't know why I decided to do a joint review at the time, but I did, seem right at the time. But I still kept the video up anyway. But I've done reviews of all the others separately, and you probably saw that I've done a review on the Hornby Toad last time. And I've also got Toad in the backman range as well, as you can see in this photo here. So this is a review on Hornby Oliver, and I bought this Oliver second hand. I got it 6 years ago, and you can see it comes in the original box, and it says Bluebell Arrow on it, £45. However, unfortunately, I didn't pay that much for it. I paid a lot more because obviously it's quite rare. However, recently I've seen a lot more on eBay, mainly on eBay, and obviously in the past model railway shows, and do them for a lot cheaper. But I still don't regret getting it. And when I bought this Oliver, the handrail, I think, yeah, that one just there, was loose, but I've managed to glue it back on with the help of my brother. But I think this is a really nice model of Oliver, and I think personally this is one of Hornby's best models. I mean, we've all said in the past that, Hornby have created some locomotives, like, I don't know, Emily for example, that aren't that fantastic, although I do think there are good things about that model as well. But this is definitely one of their better ones. As I've said before, models like Hornby Henry, James and Gordon, they're more based upon, in the Hornby range, what they look like in the Railway series rather than the TV series. However, I think this Oliver is more based upon what Oliver looked like in the TV series, mainly between series 6 and 12, because in that series he was a lighter shade of green like he is here. Whereas when he was first introduced, he was more of an olive green, apple green colour. So yeah, apple green. But like I said, that's Oliver. I like the face on this one as well. I think it captures Oliver's face really nicely. However, as you can see, he's got a handrail, and it's actually going through his head, which poor Oliver must be very painful. However, in real life, this is based on a real locomotive. That handrail would actually be there. There's obviously real locomotives that have faces. And I saw Oliver's bases a few years ago at Worley, which is a model railway show they do at the NEC in Birmingham. Obviously, because of COVID-19, the event's not gone ahead this year. I think the NEC has been used as a hospital, but that's a model railway show I go to every year normally. And unfortunately, it was actually running at a railway near me in Northampton, but I didn't go to it, unfortunately, which I do sort of regret. But it's the Severn Valley Railway, so no doubt I'll probably see it again in Steam, hopefully. And it was Douglas that rescued Oliver from scrap. He was a rusty red colour originally when he first arrived on Sodor. Underneath this model of Oliver, it says the year that it was made. Though to my knowledge, it actually came out in 2005, but they probably got it ready the previous year for production the following year, which is why it says 2004 underneath. But like I said, I do really like this model of Oliver. Oliver was created by the Reverend W. Audrey and first appeared in the Railway series. And like I said, I think this model is more based on what he looked like in the TV series. But Oliver, as you probably know, come back to the show in the CGI animated series. And in that, he's more based, in my opinion, he's more based upon what he looked like in the Railway series, like with a black running board and that. He's also got proper lamp irons, so like here he's got he has got lamp irons where his lamp would go, but he's got little stumps, whereas again in the TV series, again it looked like that. And this model of Oliver's got green wheels as well, apart from the back two. The back two are black for some reason, and all of Oliver's wheels should be in green, I think. Another thing with this model as well is it's got the number 11 on the side, and from what I remember from the TV series, the 11 on Oliver was a lot smaller, as you can see in this photo here, when he fell on the turntable well. However, I like to believe that he got his own back on the trucks in the episode Oliver's Fine when he shunted them into the turntable, where he lost his temper with them. But like I said, you can actually now get this model in the backman range, which when I bought this model 6 years ago, you couldn't. So, but like I said, I don't regret getting this because, as a Hornby collector, it's nice to have it in the collection. Originally as well, this model would have had traction tyres, and this one doesn't. But when I got it, the traction tyres, there was only around the centre wheels. I don't know if the front two would have had them. I mean, it's only these wheels that are powered because the back one, the sixth wheel under there, isn't powered. So I don't know if all the wheels have had traction tyres originally. I'm just trying to do my research, but like I said, a lot of the Olivers that seem to be available now on eBay and that most of the time tend to be in not so good condition. Like I said, when I brought this, All it was the traction tyres and the handrail, which are fixed. But I've had a run of this, and even without the traction tyres, Oliver does run really well. I will say though, in both this range and in the Bachmann range, he can only really pull sort of small loads. And as you can see here at Wellingborough Museum, where I've run him before, there was a little bit of a hill gradient, and I find particularly with the Bachmann one, it does struggle at that. Whereas on my sort of basic layout, track, as long as he's got a small load, he does run very well. So like I said, even without the traction tyres, he does perform really nicely. But some engines, like Thomas himself, for example, in Hornby, had versions where it had traction tyres and non-traction tyres. But like I said, I think this model still runs really nicely. But then again, in real life, Oliver probably wouldn't have pulled that many trucks anyway. Obviously, being a tank engine, it would only pull small trains anyway, not massive trains. Because like I say, he's not even got as many driving wheels as what Thomas has, because Thomas has 6 driving wheels, where Oliver's got 4 driving wheels, and then 2 like trailing wheels there. But like I said, I do really like this model. I think there's great detail all the way around. The only I think let down is really on the safety valve on the whistle there. It's painted yellow, whereas again even on the back one they've got it the correct brass colour, like it was in the TV series. And as you know, I say Oliver's got a brake van called Toad as well. And in the railway series, Toad belonged to Douglas, but in the television series, he belonged to Oliver. He was always seen travelling behind Oliver. And again, he came back into the CGI series with a lot more detail. And like I said, in the railway series, Oliver had black wheels, but say these ones have got green. Like it should do, really, in my opinion, like it should do. And I think it looks better in green, personally. As I said, going back to this model, Oliver, as you can see, is number 11. In the railway series, his number was 1436. And I didn't actually realise this, but that's actually based upon a real locomotive. Because some engines, like D7101, for example, his number didn't actually exist because the diesels, the Hymex that he was created after, only went up to D7100. So he's obviously added as a bit of a joke. So Oliver's actually based upon a real engine. Which I didn't realise until I've done some research. And I do get people ask me, do I prefer Bachmann or do I prefer this Hornby model? Obviously Bachmann's pretty much the equivalent, runs on the same track and all that. And I think that, the Bachmann one, it's great for people that haven't managed to get Oliver in this range. However, I personally prefer this one because it's more the Oliver that I remember growing up with. And as I said before, I'm not a huge fan of the CGI animated series. And obviously that model's more based on what Oliver looked like in that series rather than this one. When the engines come back into the CGI series, like the narrow gauge engines, for example, they looked a lot more detailed than what they did in the railway series, and obviously in real life because they are based upon real engines compared to the TV series. So it is good in that respect, I think. And as I said before, I did a review on Hornby Duck before, and Duck's got all the details on the top of his cab, like on his boiler and his cab and that, like Oliver. However, that looked sort of a bit cheap in that, whereas this one, it looks, I know to me, it just looks a lot better. The detail on the top of Oliver overall. So as I said before in that review, and I still keep my score the same, I'd happily give him a 10 out of 10 because I do think he is a really nice model. I definitely recommend you get it if you can for a good price. And again, when I was at the NEC in Birmingham, Worley, the Model Railway Show, I actually saw an Oliver sale on the cab a few years ago. That was in 2017. Like I said, I saw Oliver's base there, and it would be nice to ride behind it as well another time. But for the time being, it's just nice to have this model of Oliver. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.